Hello, and welcome back to the definitive Starship review series without access to a proper table, where today we are going to acknowledge the fact that this is actually one of two series, a Starship review series, claiming to be the definitive without access to a proper table, which is quite frankly absurd. Obviously, I thought I'd have that in the bag, but that stupid Star Trek newbie reviews with N Squared and Alex just came in, just stole my idea. I was here first. They claim to be the definitive when clearly that is us. And if this is your first introduction to the channel, that probably sounds very weird. But yes, today we are going to be looking at the Romulan Warbird 2399, not to be confused with the many other ships that are Romulan, were introduced in the year 2399, and are equally Warbird-like. This is, again, another ship that is sort of bomber-esque, another ship that was designed to be a bomber, because they just really wanted bomber-style starships, I guess. And it's an interesting one. Sort of well, not sort of, it is the Valdor successor, so I guess it's an interesting one. We'll see, of course, you got that Picard-style Warbird paint underneath, which I actually think that looks pretty good. I've been a fan of this bird paint when it's shown up in Picard. But the main thing I kind of think when I look at this model is, right, the Romulan Star Empire, again, because it's Picard, we don't really know, but it's gone. Like, Romulus is gone. That seriously shook the Romulan Empire, whatever they want to call it, to its core. That would have had an effect. And so the kind of main ship they decide to build after the Valdor, which you might think is maybe something that's a bit easier to construct with resources, whatever. It's like 2/3 wingspan. And it's a weird one for me to why has it got so much wingspan as the Romulan Warbird? That maybe that's like a deck. But it would be unusual, and it is really thin. If that blue bit right there is the bridge, that's a thin deck. And, it got me thinking you could say the same about the Valdor, which I should have got, actually. But the Valdor is also 2/3 wings, and yeah, it's that same waste of space, and you could probably say the same about the Dideridax, where it's a very unusually designed and impractical ship. But, that's two things. That's, probably better quality writing, just not making you question the designs as much. But also, yeah, that was the Romulans at their power. So I don't know. It's a nice ship. It's a fine-looking Romulan ship, the Warbird. Decent little Valdor successor. Very bomber-esque, which it's not really anymore. Maybe that's some new Romulan military strategy, is just always bombers. Which, if you don't know, bomber, in the context of Starfleet, because, yes, a bomber is stupid when you have phasers and whatnot, is just that. Well, it's Romulan, so disruptors. It's a bunch of disruptors that fire down at a planet, absolutely devastating it, because that is a tactical military strategy as opposed to a space bomber in the Star Trek universe. But yeah, a bomber, the big wingspan, if it was practical, it would kind of make sense. I think there's pseudo canon stuff that the wings on the Klingon bird of prey are important for the weapons, for basically we wanted it to look like that and this is our excuse kind of reasons. But for the Romulan Warbird, if it flew through atmospheres, that would kind of make more sense, but it doesn't really make sense to be flying through atmospheres. So it's kind of one of those ships that's what it is it was designed for a show we never got. It's a ship that was designed to bomb Mars, to be an attack on Mars and planetary, which it would have worked great. But because we don't see it like that, we don't see it as what it was actually designed to do, is bomb Mars, which was kind of the initial drafts of the first season of Picard. It's a little odd in how bomber-esque it is, but let's kind of brush past that, because the actual underlying design I do think is pretty good. With the sort of segmented panel working to get just an interesting shape. I quite like this, actually. It kind of reminds me, especially from the distance I am, of like the rainforest in space-esque. These are windows, like skylights, and we're looking at some sort of massive forest floor. Like if you were to plane, that would make this ship absolutely enormous. But I kind of like that idea. But no, it's a nice coloring, like nice green on that, nice, interesting. It just makes it look interesting and pop, kind of highlights some more of these details. With the underside, of course, again, more segmented panel work. You still have, I think, actually the same dark green pattern is on the top, but the red-esque, red-black war paint that's all on the bottom. Less obviously bird, because, you've got these kind of cutaways. This bit is so thin, you can't really get ahead. But the wings, I do quite like the look of. Yeah, it is a nice one. I think I've said before on this channel, I'm generally quite fond of the ship designs in Picard. It's definitely one of the better things about that season. I think most people would probably agree with that. I don't actually know what most people think about these Romulan ships. I've fallen out of touch with the community a little bit in recent years. This is interesting. I do like this little tail bit, this interesting stuff going on. With these kind of cutaways. I think they're done well. I think they're done in a sensible way, especially for a ship that might be skimming upper atmospheres as it does its bombing. Because that's going to be physics. That's probably going to be some, not square cube, inverse square law. The closer you are to the thing you're hitting with your phasers, the more powerful the phasers are going to be when they hit. Especially through an atmosphere, probably. And so these ships, even if they don't fly like above a city, they'll be skirting the upper atmospheres of planets and stuff. So yeah, really, I think this is a ship you have to take in that kind of, it's going through upper atmospheres, it's a bomber. That it might be the flagship. I suppose the Romulans just learned how devastating it would be to lose a planet, so they're like, right, their whole military is now just going to be about attacking planets. But, if you look at it in that sense, I think it's a really nice design and a good addition to the fleet. I like this imposing shape that a lot of the Romulan ships of this era have, where they've got the bit that goes down a bit, kind of like a beak. It reminds me of modern Star Wars helmety designs, in all honesty. But that thin but tall window and this kind of helmet like this, which actually is sort of Halo Master Chief-esque. Just a little bit, I think, with this coloring and pattern. It's very Imperial, powerful, power projecting. It's very Romulan. And I just really do like it. I suppose it might sort of originate in the Dideridax, because that had the little V shape thing, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, looking at my Dideridax, it's a bit different, but I wonder if maybe that inspired this, or it's just, this is imposing militarist imperial. Like, yes, it's very human to say that, and like it's human culture put onto a design, probably more likely only specific certain human cultures, but it is just really effective, and I do love this look. I also like how the wings are a bit bent. They like go up a bit and then they're not straight, just a bit more interesting. It suggests there's more built for aerodynamics going on there. I mean, if you know anything about lift and how wings should look, you'd probably go, oh, this is gonna force it to pitch down while twirling and explode as the wings snap off. But not knowing anything about that, it looks very intentional, and like there's reasons for these kinks here, as well as just being pretty effective, and down here kind of looking nice. Same goes for the little tails. Are they ailerons? Or is aileron only when it's going up? I can't remember. They might be the wing bits. But yeah, it all suggests built for some sort of aerodynamic-esque fly. I mean, look, even these little sideburns it has here, it was built to go through some level of atmosphere, at least a little bit, while also being a spaceship. And because it's Picard, I guess it's got a weird little engine thing in the back. Like, I don't know, impulse works in atmospheres. That's how shuttles get from the ground into space. Maybe this is a weapon thing, but it's got a weird little butthole in the back of the starship. Yeah, I've just realized as well, this little feather design. That's very nice, the tail fin design that I'm covering with my finger. But yeah, I think that's probably all I have to say about this little ship. It's a effective little bomber. Like, I like the idea. It's not a bomber like a plane, but it is a upper atmosphere. You're feeling the effects of an atmosphere, like flying this around, especially in combat, probably quickly, but there's still not a whole lot of atmosphere. It's really just how huge this ship is, and it's maybe using that to its advantage. But yeah, I like that. It's just a good design, works for the Romulans, works for its goal, which you don't get much of in Star Trek, of like task-oriented starships. I've seen things before when you talk about the Dominion War and stuff, how absolutely awful everyone's strategies are, because it's kind of just flying in and pew pew pew, where actual people who are kind of into tactical stuff are like, no, you clearly have like these Galaxy ships, these Defiant ships, these Akira and stuff, which all should fill different roles, and you know, you shouldn't be flinging your Galaxy classes straight into the battle. You should have kind of artillery-esque. And we are seeing, at least in the Romulans, I mean, it's only this like bomber tactic and then O's command ship, but it's that specialization that's a bit more real in the combat. The ships kind of have roles, and the only time we've really had that in Star Trek in the past is like, this is a long-range exploration vessel. This is a dedicated science vessel. This is a short-range exploration vessel. And so, you know, it's nice to see a ship built for a role. It's why I think one of the reasons I like the Rainforest in Space so much is it's obviously hyper specialized in, yeah, you need your generalists, especially for long range exploration, because you don't know what you're gonna get. Like, your Galaxy class is a big old jack of all trades, but not amazing at anything, whereas this is like, no, this has a purpose, and this is it fulfills a specific role in our military fleet. And so that's quite nice to see. I'm struggling to think of other examples in modern Star Trek, like maybe some of the Section 31 drones and stuff, but I don't know if we've really done a war. Well, no, we have the Klingon ships. You've got like the Cleave ship and some of that. So yeah, it is nice to see something I've never considered before. The more specialization in what these ships do, and more explicit specialization as opposed to just, well, the Oberth is small. I guess it's a dedicated science vessel that they only send around after like the Enterprise, and it's like, hey, we need a better ship. Yeah, I think that's gonna be everything for my little review. I don't know why I said it like that. This little Romulan Warbird. $23.99. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time, where hopefully I articulate better.